So welcome back to the Here We Go Again podcast. We've got a special guest who was with the club for over a decade, over 300 appearances in the Premier League under Sam Allardyce. Kevin Nolan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Surprisingly, in this pandemic and what's going on at the minute, being able to get out on the pitch and do training and be, involved in football in these crazy times is been good. But just wishing now and hoping that we can get back to normality as quickly as possible. But great, thanks, mate.
So I'm sure Paul's explained to you before, we're going to sort of talk through your career. Obviously, a big chunk of that's Bolton Wanderers. You're obviously a lad who was born in Liverpool, came through the ranks at Bolton. How did that come about? Were you sort of playing grassroots football, junior football in Liverpool when Bolton picked you up? How did that come about?
Yeah, I was Liverpool. I was out Liverpool from 9 till about 13, I think, and then I went back and just started playing with my friends. But at the time, we used to have the City Boys as well. I was playing for Liverpool City Boys, and I was playing with a lad called Daryl Tago. Paul will know very well. Yeah. He was with the club for many years, and his dad, it was Phil. He was the one who we were on our way home from Liverpool City Boys training, and he'd asked me how I was getting on at Liverpool. Yeah, and I said, I haven't played for Liverpool now for the last 4 or 5 months. He was like, and he sort of slammed the car on. What? And I was like, one of them, real dramatic reaction, which I wasn't expecting. I've gone, I've been playing with South Fulham, we Sunday League, and he was like, oh, we can't be having that. Well, do you fancy coming to Bolton? And I was like, well, yeah. And sort of that's how it come about first and foremost. And then from there, we ended up, I ended up coming up training, ended up doing a couple of days, and I remember at the time a fella called Rob and Phil Bell, Belly's dad, who was playing. Rob was playing for us as well, and within that session, he said, "Yeah, they want me to sign and they want me to come there." And yeah, as they say, the rest is history. But it felt so good going there, and they made me feel really welcome, and it just sort of, as they say, it all grew from there, which was, for me, one of the, the best times in my life, really.
How long did it take you to sort of get close to the first team picture and training with the first team? How long did that take you?
Well, I joined that season, and then so I was under 15, it would have been. So that's the season, and then I went into under 16 the year after, and then I was in the actual squad for the FA Cup tie for the under 18s. So that meant that there was some sort of development there, and I was on the bench there. So it was great for me. So I always felt like I was moving, and I was getting options and opportunities to sort of show what I'm about and show me, because I was doing very, very well. And we had a really good side in that under 16 side. I think we went the full season. We didn't lose many games. If we did, maybe one. And we were playing all the big teams: Liverpool's, Man United's, Everton's, Man City's, all the teams around us. So it was a tough old league or tough old week to week games. But we held our own, definitely. And for me, it was a natural progression. I ended up then getting offered the academy scholarship, which was the first season, and it just went from there. So from the time when I had the sort of jerk of my mate's car just sort of stopping in the street because I've been released by Liverpool and him asking me to go to Bolton, I think within that 18 months I've been on the bench for the youth team in an FA Youth Cup, and I've been offered a scholarship, which was beyond my wildest dreams, which was great.
Kevin, what were your first impressions of Big Sam? Because you obviously must have kind of met him more or less straight away when you came, because he did give opportunities, and he was very interested in the youth setup, wasn't he, and how that was managed and progressed.
Yeah, well, when he first came in, it was just like, what is that on his lip? It was like a little slug on his lip, if you remember. I don't know if you can remember that far back, but yeah, I remember him being a giant of a man. Me only being a 17-year-old boy, because it was Colin Todd at first.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I was in a lot of reserve team, but wasn't really getting the chance to train with the first team. But as soon as Sam come in, it sort of just escalated from there. I was always involved with the first team training, and if I wasn't involved in the first team training, I was playing for the reserves. after Sam come in, I very rarely then went back down to what was then the under-19s. When I moved, I was only just turned 16. I think it was a week after, and I'd moved out and I'd come into training, and it was a week, 6 months, so 16 and 7 days or something, and it was my first time as a professional. Well, sorry, I should say as an academy scholar. Mm-hmm. And it was just so different, and then it just went from there, really. I was playing in an under-19, so we were playing against lads always, which made it tougher, but it was better for us and for our development, and it gave us a mentality and a strength that, we were there to develop as players. And I think that's what, Martin Dobson and Chris Sully seen it at the time, is that although, we were getting a good few hardens, there was a lot of positives from the beginning of the season up until the end, and we got a couple of lads through because of how we done that and how they shaped it up, which is only a tick by their names and what they done. So, but yeah, Sam was massive for me. As soon as he walked in, we recognised that he wanted me to be around the first team, which was great for me. So I had that full sort of second season which would have been under 17, if you like, where I was.
Who were some of the players at the time, like the senior players who would have taken you under the wing? Per Fransson would have been there, wouldn't he?
Per Fransson, Klaus Jensen, Fishy.
Klaus, of course.
Fishy left to go to Charlton, but then we had, Dane Allsworth, Forrest. There was a proper, old school Mikey Whitlow. Yeah. Steve Banks was there. UC was there. Goodney Bergson.
There's so many great senior players to look up to, I guess, wasn't there?
Yeah, and they were a great bunch, and Per Fransson sort of took me under the wing because I was that sort of position, and he was brilliant with me. On night out and stuff, I'd go to his first, and he'd have me back, on everything. So it was nice knowing that, and Neil Cox was there. He was. I used to do his boots, but I think he just left when I started playing. Really, I think Sam got rid of him. Mm-hmm. I knew a lot of them, but it was sort of still the old school. But they were really respectful of me, and they were great with me, which was fantastic. And then obviously I established myself quite quickly, which was nice, and took me opportunities when they come, which obviously always helps, because I think then they should start to have a bit of respect for you. And they were great with me, and I just started to work as hard as possible. And I think they could see that I'd do anything, to try and become a professional footballer. So it was great on my side. But it was. It seems weird looking back now, and when I see myself in them first kits and stuff, and how skinny I was, and how young I look, and it was like, my God, my boy's only 7 years off that now, and it just feels like it was miles away. But it all soon just creeps up on you. So that's why I keep telling him now he's at Nottingham Forest at the minute. Yeah. I keep saying, enjoy these years, because in a couple of years it might not ever be there again. So he's doing really well. But yeah, it's just great. It's great looking back, and it's nice when you do things like this to look back on things like that.
And your debut, can you remember much about your debut? I mean, obviously you will do, but who it was against and how you
was it Charlton?
Yeah,
March 2000 was it? I think.
Charlton, yeah, I think we got beat 2-0, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I think I come on before that. It might have been. I think I come on against. I come on against Fulham as well. I come on in 4 games that season. Crystal Palace away. I think there was Charlton, Fulham, and there was one more, which is through me now because I normally know this. And I'm really, really, really upset that I don't know it. But yeah, I mean, then I remember going away because it was, the back end of the season, and I remember going away thinking, I want more of that. I want to be right at it, and I want to be part of what it felt in them games coming off, which was great. And I remember against Fulham, I had a shot which from about 25 yards out, which I think Mike Taylor was in goal for them at the time, pulled out the top corner, which would have just obviously been unbelievable if I would have been able to do that. But it was and I was unfortunate because that was the back end of the season, and I come back the season after ready and raring to go, fit as a fiddle, hoping to try and make a mark, and I end up breaking me wrist over in that dreaded America tour. I don't know if you remember, Paul, but shenanigans what went on over there. But yeah, I was lucky enough out of the thing when all that stuff went off. The gaffer and I had come back because the gaffer had to get players because we didn't have any. We were scrambling around for them, and I had to come back because they thought I needed an operation on my wrist, which I didn't need in the end. But yeah, and then everything just sort of escalated from there. I was able to keep my fitness up. They were really intent on making sure that I didn't lose many days. I remember having my arm like this and like being in the running in pools and stuff like that. It was whatever they asked me to do, I did never worry because I had a big cast on. I just said, yeah, I'll do it because I wanted to be a part of Sam's squad. And it sort of went from there. And then I remember just getting a phone call. I trained in the day, and I weren't in the squad at all. I weren't doing anything, but I trained, done a little bit with the first team. I'd literally got the cast off, I think, about 4 days earlier, and I don't think the physios were too happy because I'd have to have it, strapped up. And I got a phone call from Phil Brown on my way home, and he just said, "You're in the squad. Go and get your tracksuit and come back." Brilliant, yeah. So I live a tracksuit, drove back up, and then I was on the bench. Lo and behold, after about 60 minutes, I think I was on the pitch, and that was it. Then it just sort of kicked off from there. I went on with the wrist, all the wrist stuff on, and then yeah, as they say, the rest is history. Like in terms of that was the beginning of what was going to be then a successful first season in the Championship, where I went on to make, I think it was about 38 appearances, if I'm right.
Yeah,
or it might be in and around that.
Yeah. I think
37, so I'm close, mate. Yeah, see, I told you I'm not too far off.
The other game that you couldn't think of earlier, I think it was Man City, the fourth one.
Man City, it was. Yeah, I come on for John O'Kane. That's the one. I come on for John O'Kane because he had a really tough time against Kennedy. Remember Mark Kennedy, the winger?
Oh yeah.
And he'd absolutely. I don't remember. You remember Main Road? He used to be really wide, so it was great for wingers. And I come on at right wing back. And I remember the gaffer just going on, and he just said to me, "Listen, just make sure he doesn't go past you, no, by no means." Phil Brown said, once Phil Brown being the right back he was, if you get an opportunity, just go right through him. So I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, Mark Kennedy's just shown John O'Kane, a new set of wheels, and he is now off the field. What do I do? First minute he got it, I just went like, "Wallop." Just give him one. I remember giving Kennedy one, and you could see then he thought, this little, he wanted to kill me, but I was like a little cheeky scouser, and I was like, "You're going to get it again. Every time you get it, you're going to get it again, because there's no way I'm going to stop you otherwise." And in them days, you could get away with giving them a good, the referee would give you 3 or 4 good ones, before he put you in the book. So, yeah, I think I just took it right, everything what Sam had done. So I come on at right wing back, I think, in that game. I come on at right side centre back against Crystal Palace during the midweek game. I come on the centre mid, and in the other 2 games, which is against Charlton and Fulham, and then 4 games, they were the 4 appearances I made. So I still think, because I was playing centre half, Sam didn't really know where I was, but I think he seen me as a midfielder, but knew that I could sort of sit in or go and do something. And I think because I wasn't fazed by the fact that if he'd go, we'll throw him in at right wing back or throw him in right side of the centre back, because I wasn't fazed by it, it was just like, yeah, let's do it. But yeah, we got some. Even though we got beat by City and I think Charlton, I think we got a good point down at Crystal Palace, and we beat Fulham, as I said, at home, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first sort of breakthrough season, the 2000-2001 season, like you said, 37 appearances, 3 goals. You must have been pleased to have sort of established yourself in the team quite quickly in what was a successful season for the club. Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing. When you get that opportunity, it's about taking it, but then you've got to have someone who's got the faith and the trust in you, and Sam gave me that. But although, he had that faith and trust, it's then about me making sure I take the opportunity, because we had some good seasoned professionals playing in that team as well. Robbie Elliott, Gareth Farley, Per Franson, who all got Paul Warhurst. They were all part of that midfield partnership, or if you like, what we'd all created in that 3. So it was about me sort of finding my own, and I hadn't found probably my goal scoring touch at that time, but I was contributing to the team on a regular basis, which was good for me. And I was starting to build relationships up with people, which Sam I thought seen. And as you said, 3 goals is not great out of 37 appearances, and I'm quite worried about that, because that brings my statistic way down when I'm looking at it, when I look back on it. But for the first full season, when I look back after that, I was like, Jesus, yeah. And I remember going away from that season going, right, I want to be even better now. So I didn't have a break. I just went back into training more, harder, working, just ready to go. But that season was just magnificent from beginning. You know, where you think, I broke my wrist, on, no, they're going to bring more players in. But then you get your opportunity out of the blue at Grimsby, and then it just sort of went like that from there. And it just felt like it was, you know, it was never going to end. It was just, you know, so easy and good. But it wasn't, because I know how much hard work I was doing, you know, to get there as well.
Yeah, because people necessarily don't see that, do they? They'll just see you on a Saturday or a Tuesday night for 90 minutes, but they won't see the hard work that players put in beforehand. And I guess some players work a bit harder than others at training, but it goes to show, proof's in the pudding, isn't it? If you work hard in training, then the benefits are there on a Saturday afternoon, aren't they?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. You only get out of football what you sort of want to put into it. You know, I think if you're lazy with it and you're a bit lethargic, yeah, listen, you can get away with it. You can get away with it maybe for 6 months, a year, with top players, 2 years, 3 years maybe tops when you're top player. But it all catches up with you. There's no matter what, you've got to put the work in, you've got to put the professionalism, you've got to be professional with everything you do. And unless you can't stay at the top, you know, you're not allowed to do it, because people go by you, because now it's such a, you know, you've got to be such a physical specimen, and you've got to be mentally tough and all that type of stuff. You know, you hear a lot of things about mental people struggling with mental issues because of the pressures of what it brings. And, you know, I can understand why there's a lot of people talking about it now, because you do, you know, you worry about your game beforehand, you worry about your game after, you worry about whether you can, you know, you're going to get that contract. They're all the worries what you have in life, but it's only the worries what people have on a day-to-day basis who are normal working class people. You know, how much money are you going to earn this week? Can you get the rent in? Can you get, you know, the mortgage paid? Can you do this? So it's about doing it the right way and having the right people behind you. And I think that's one thing what I think people sort of can say about me, is that, you know, they can connect with me about, is that I was always, you know, wore my heart on my sleeve, and I was always there, and I worked as hard as them, and I was so grateful for the opportunities, well, not only Sam gave me for World, but all the opportunities and all the people who were around me at that time, including all the staff and all the people, you know, to give me the opportunity to be the best Kevin Nolan I could be. And, you know, with all the support of the fans and everybody else in and around me, with my family, which made it so much easier and so much a more nicer experience doing it, you know.
What was the final at the Millennium Stadium in 2001? What was that like to play in as a young lad?
Well, you just, again, you know, you think, you know, I'm thinking I've just full season, got to the playoff final. You know, now we're at the Millennium and walking out, it's unbelievable. I reckon I had about 70 of my friends and family there. Yeah, and we win 3-0, you know, scored the last two in the last couple of minutes just to, you know, put it to bed, and you know that you're getting promoted, so you can sort of enjoy everything what's going in and around you. And it's one of the rarest occasions. And then I relived it again years later at West Ham, because we scored in like the 90th minute, and you can sort of look back and you're thinking, Jesus, you know, you're looking at all the crowd, you can see how happy they are, you know it, you're going to the Premier League, it's like, wow, you know, what's happening. And I remember that night, like, you know, as if it was yesterday, we had such a fantastic evening. Everyone stayed over. We had a big party together. We all had a drink, and then we went back home to Liverpool, and then everybody from all my family to friends, they all gathered at my house. I was walking around with my playoff final winners medal all day. Couldn't take it off, you know, wouldn't take it off, because I was just so proud to have done what we'd done. And it was just such a fantastic experience. And it was just like, and I remember just, you know, that night, and you know, lo and behold, I didn't drink at that time, so it was, you know, I think I might have only had a couple of beers. Well, did I? I might even have a beer, but I remember thinking and speaking that night and just saying, and everyone going, Premier League player now, and I was going, yeah, now I've got to prove I'm a Premier League player. So that was me main, all my attention switched to being now the best Premier League player, and wanting the best Premier League player I can be, and being the best Kevin Nolan, to make sure I'm ready for the Premier League. And that's when I said, you know, I didn't even give myself an opportunity to relax or rest. I think I booked an holiday with my cousin for a weekend. Then we went to Magaluf, which was my first lads' holiday, which was, you know, or that might have been the year before. So I don't even think I went away that year. I might not have. It was crazy. So, but I was just hell bent on just getting ready, making sure that I was fit as a fiddle as soon as I walked in on that first day pre-season, and I was. And it obviously shows with the start we had because of what we done and we're able to do during the first this season back in the Prem.
Yeah, and it was against Leicester, if I'm not mistaken. It was quite an extraordinary game, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, don't know why, but it's quite funny actually. I've got a couple of friends now who are from Leicester, because obviously being Nottingham, got to know a few of the dads at Nottingham Forest, where my boy plays, as I mentioned earlier. And a few, they're Leicester fans and the dads and that, and they were all in the ground when I done that. And it made me so on my Premier League debut. I say, yeah, that was the easiest Premier League debut I think for anyone. Just gone to Leicester, you win 5-0, it's not a problem. Filbert Street, so I'll give them a bit of stick about it. But yeah, I remember it. I got the fastest goal. I was the fastest goal in the Premier League, so it was the first goal in the Premier League that season as well, which was great. Which I've still got in, as a trophy, my mum's. So she's got all my trophies and stuff. So yeah, I mean, and then to get the second, and then I had an opportunity to get an hat-trick. I remember the gaffer saying to me the day after, or it might have been the Monday when we'd done the analysis of the game and everything. He said, you should have had an hat-trick there. And I went, don't worry, I'll get one. And it's a big shout that. And you don't realise then, because obviously your first game, you're thinking, yes, we've just won 5-0, we've done so well, and you're thinking, this is easy, this stuff. But yeah, it took me a long time to get that hat-trick, but I got it. But he said you'll be lucky to get 3 or 4 in your career, so with the position you play. And I went, all right, okay, well, I'll prove you wrong, don't worry, which I did in the end, but it took me a long time.
I think people might have been surprised at that 5-0 victory, but from my memory at the time, Sam obviously prepared the players really well. Just going back to the playoff game against Preston, the lads just seemed so confident. They were just so quite easy. It just seemed. I went into the dressing room before the game, and there wasn't that tension that you'd normally expect. Whereas like Preston, they look like rabbits in headlights, and they look phased by it. But the Wanderers lads and the coaches, they just seemed really comfortable in the surroundings. And for me, I just thought we've won this game, and we hadn't even kicked off. It just felt. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's something what Sam brings, and I think I've sort of put that on. When I was in the match, is to sort of try and bring a calmness to it. Although it's it's a fantastic occasion, it's great. You cannot get carried away with what's going on. It's about the 90 minutes on the pitch, and you work up to then. And what Sam was great about is that he always thought that he prepared the best way. So he always made you believe, and I think that's what it was. We thought we prepared, we'd done all our work, we knew exactly what they were about. We wanted how to nullify them and how to make sure we, expose their weaknesses. And once we'd done that, and it was always going to be a tough game, because that they were, one of the best top 6 in that league. So we knew that it was always going to be a tough game, but we were confident in what we've done all season, and if we continue to do that, then we'll be able to get over the line, and we did. And I think that's where that sort of brewed from. And then if you take that sort of confidence into the Premier League season, and I remember we had a conversation, and Sam had said, when the 3 teams have been promoted, so it was obviously Fulham with John Tagana, it was obviously Blackburn with all David Dunn, Duff, Matt Jansen, all the boys they were talking about are going to be the next lot to sort of go on and be England superstars. And it was us, and we were unlucky not to be in their top 2. But for the fact that Fulham had spent a load of money on a Louis Saha, they had some big players at that time too, and we were sort of like the misfits, if you like. Couple of there's a couple of lads who could pluck from, first, and then lads who had just been there, and we've all got together, but we bonded. We had such a bond that we thought we could get. We could break them too, but we unfortunately didn't, and we got up through the playoffs. And I remember Sam just immediately turned his attention to the fact that, well, actually, this is the next step now, because out of all the teams who've gone up to the Premier League and the Championship up until then, or at least one of them has gone down every season. Mm-hmm. And he's saying they've spent money, they've got the rest. So what are these? Everyone's saying that's going to be you. So that's what you've got to do. So we immediately put it on us in pre-season. This is what you're up against. You're going to be relegated by the fact that what it says, and what so we're breaking the rules basically, because of what's happened, or the probability of 3 teams staying up is zilch, because it's never happened before. So we're going to have to do something special if we're going to stay up in the Premier League. Because, you know, the 3 teams have gone up, have never stayed up until then. And we were able to do that, which was a fantastic achievement, because everyone was saying, you know, Blackburn deserved to be there. John Scannell had took Fulham up and they were going to spend money. They were spending money like no one's business. And we were, again, the ones. But, you know, Sam, again, went out, done all his business deals, got all that right, then got everything else, brought people into the club who were going to make the club better. And that's where he sort of started getting, you know, that environment, which is the most crucial part of it, and bringing winners to the environment and making. So we had a couple of young lads who sort of got involved with that then. You know, UC was only young at the time, myself, Michael Ricketts, Ricky Gardner, you know, just to name a few. And you know, used to bring a Yori Joker after the place. And the next minute you see him and the what he does and how he handles himself, then you sort of go, right, well, that's where we're going. That's where Sam wants to take us. So we all bought into it. And I think that's why we were able to stay up that season. And it was, you know, brought Freddie Bobic in, you know, later on in the season to score when he scores that hat-trick against Ipswich, which, you know, sort of seals the fact that we're going to stay in the Premier League. Just them little moments of brilliance and genius from him, and then players stepped up when needed to be for him. Rod Wallace coming, he come in too, you know, but with a wealth of experience, good lad around the dressing room. And these were lads who'd won leagues or won titles and won things, so they were coming in with, and Sam was bringing them in to bring a positive attitude towards the squad and to get results and know, you know, when you are leading 1-0, can you see the game out and all that type of stuff, which we had to do on many occasions. So yeah, it was such a special time and special place to be at the time, and seeing it grow. Because I remember being in that Championship dressing room when we done an analysis meeting, and he said that in 7 years he wants to be in Europe, and everybody in that place laughed.
Yeah.
And I reminded him 5 years after when we got into Europe, and I said, I thought it was going to take 7. He went, well, because you listened to me, Nobby lad, we got there in 5. So it was quite funny. He brought it right back at me, you know. So because there was a few lads listening to me, he said to me, and you see it myself, obviously Ricky Gardner, who he said we got there earlier. So which he does in his own little cheeky way, which is great. But you know, no one could have dreamed to what he had done, and but he had the belief, he had the vision, you know, and we all bought into that vision. And that's, I think, was a massive thing on him.
Yeah, it's that winning mentality. Like you say, you mentioned players who'd won titles in other countries and trophies, like Stelios, who came in later. And yeah, they were just winners. They wanted to win, didn't they? There was just no other option, really, was there?
Yeah, and the thing is, well, when you go and recruit players and you get into that sort of, it's okay just going out and buying the best players, but you've got to buy the best players for the really going to help the mentality of the dressing room, or be a part of the core group. And what Mike Ford, who was there, he's got to take a lot of credit for that, you know, working with the gaffer and all the rest who come in after him. Mm-hmm. But what it was is that he wanted the core group of players who he could then bring in. You know, you can then have your little maverick, if you like a lad's Juve, if you like, because he can go off and do his own thing, or he can win your games on different days and stuff, but he's always a good lad around. And if he needs to be pulled in, or we needed to have a little bit of an argument, I wouldn't mind having that or doing that. But the gaffer always had, you know, knew him and always knew what he was up to. So it was, for us, we knew that was, you know, we could handle 1 or 2 of them, but the majority of that sort of successful side was built on the fact that we had a core group of players who all believed in what Sam, and we were all the extension of Sam. And if it didn't work and it wasn't working, we were the ones he come down on, you know, like a ton of bricks, because obviously he's the one in the forefront getting all the stick if it's not going well. But then when he is going well, don't get me wrong, he'd be the one who's patting you on the back and giving you the time off if you needed doing things, all the little things what you'd need or whatever. He wouldn't, you know, there'd be no question about it. He'd be there to help you or to give you it.
Now, of course, we got, like you said, the 5-0 win on the opening day at Leicester. A couple of months later, you scored at Old Trafford against Manchester United.
Why did I think you were going to answer that? I didn't know. I thought you were going to skip. I'd skip that season. I'd skip the season. I talked about Ipswich and everything when Bobic got the hat-trick. No, I mean, listen.
Never skip that. I'm just going to say, being a Scouser, I believe, are you a Liverpool fan?
Yeah, what a day! Yeah, what
Yeah,
a
it
day!
must
I
have been
mean,
amazing.
no one could have envisaged what was going to happen that day. But again, we went there with no fear. We were really enjoying the time, and I think that put us on 15 points just after 10 games. If I'm rightly so, I don't know. You might have to check that. And it was just well deserved. We played well that game, and I hit a corker of a volley. And it's one of them. As soon as the foot, you can just see it, and just nestled into the side net, which was sweet memories for me. And I remember just giving the Old Trafford lot the ear. But, it weren't the chicken then. It was just the ear. Let me hear you now, because I couldn't hear them. I could just hear the couple of thousand Bolton fans in the corner absolutely going off their heads, which is great memories. And then obviously Ricks goes away later on, runs away. People forget how good of a finish he was, but it was a fantastic finish. And you think at Old Trafford going through, in situations like that, there's probably only a couple of players who could have thought of at that time. You'd one in that position. He was certainly one of them. And then, and then we went and repeated it again the next year, where I was able to score again. So, yeah, a couple of good years, and then we had a couple of flubs after that. But great memory winning, and again another massive win, which was important to us getting to the safety where we needed to be.
Yeah, you managed to get 8 goals in your first Premier League season from midfield, so already showing signs of becoming a goal-scoring midfielder. Did you feel like you'd settled into the top flight quite well after your first season?
Yeah, I did. But the thing is, I thought then I was a Premier League player, and this is where a lot of players go wrong. And I, lucky enough, I had good people around me where I was able to, they was able to give me a kick up the backside, because I come back, I weren't ready to come back in pre-season. So where I'd spoke about me now proving to be a Premier League, I thought I've done it now. I don't really need to go and do what I've done last season to be ready for next season. I need to have that break, and I possibly didn't need a break, but not the break what I had. I needed to, to keep my consistency and my performances up, but I weren't. I was a bit part player in the second season. I think I might have only scored that goal against Man United. I'm not too sure I scored too many in the second season. But that was a learning curve, and it never happened again. But I got the kick up the backside I needed, and I was able to contribute to the season, which was another good season. But it weren't the contribution which I should have made or could have made, if you like, and that was because I took my eye off the ball, probably because I thought I'd had 2 fantastic seasons back to back. I thought then it's just going to roll on. What I was talking about earlier, as soon as you take your eye off the ball and you think you've made it, or you think you're there, it all comes crashing down very quickly. And certainly that season, I was feeling niggles because I wasn't fit enough. I weren't feeling great. I weren't super, when everything, and it was trying to catch up. When you're playing catch up to Premier League players, you very rarely be able to get a chance to do that. So, it was a big kick up the backside, and something I learned from very quickly, and it didn't happen again.
And I suppose that, the senior players in the dressing room would have helped you with that, wouldn't they? Did anybody pull you to one side and say, "Hey, Nobby, come on, pull your socks up," kind of thing?
Yeah, look, it's not to say that I wasn't, going in and working hard and training hard. I went battering, I went going out every night, I went doing all that. It was just the fact that in the summer I didn't give myself that base to make sure I was ready. So when I come back, I found it difficult. Then I picked up knocks. Then I was out for more time. So, and it creeps up on you. So if you miss 3-4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days in pre-season, all of a sudden you're 7 days behind the lads. Plus you weren't with the lads at the beginning, so now you could be 2 weeks behind the lads. So to get 2 weeks back up on the lads, it's just nothing. And it's amazing, because of the amount of times that your players say now, "Oh yeah, well I've only missed 4 days this week." Well, that's 4 days of training which you could have had, which you haven't had, and then plus you've not been fitter than the lads, and I wasn't at the time. Like I said, if it would have happened to me the season before, and when it did happen to me, when I broke my wrist, and I said I was doing everything what needed to be done, even though I had a cast like this, and my arm up here, I was running in water and doing whatever it took. I hadn't done that in that, and I paid the price for it, and that's what I say to players now. You don't think, "Oh yeah, I'll just have a day off here." Because the day you missed on the training ground, whether it's learning something, whether it's you've missed that out on a session which is a finishing session. In my case, it could have been set pieces, could have been finishing, it could have been defensive side of it. that's why it's always important as a player, if you can get yourself on the pitch and get yourself ready and available as much as you possibly can, then it gives you the best opportunity come Saturday to be the best person you can be and the best player you can be for your team and also for yourself.
Another goal from, and obviously you say you had that great first season in the Prem and then not so much in the second season, but looking at that first season again just for a minute, another goal that stood out to me, obviously with you being from Liverpool, was a goal at Anfield on New Year's Day in 2002, a 1-1 draw. How did it feel going there and scoring?
Yeah, well, it was crazy because the gaffer had let me go home and stay at me in my house that night. Which again, that's what I said. If you're doing well for him, he'll give you them little bits and bobs, and so because obviously the home comfort's what I had. He knew I was a homey boy. You know what I mean? And I wanted to be in my own environment. So I met up with the boys in the morning, and remember, we had a few good injuries, and he just said to me over the pre-match, everyone had gone back up to the room, so I was just sitting there finishing my pre-match off, maybe having a cup of tea or a drink, and just watching the Sky Sports, and he just said, someone said to him, who's captain? And he shouted over, do you want to be captain? And I was like, yeah. Like, yeah, of course I do. And I've been captain for the reserve and stuff, so like it wasn't something new to me, and I've been captain all my career, with all my schools and everything else. So, but I thought it was just sort of a joke, and he went, I bet you do, and all that, laughing, and then we just went on to something else, and then got to the ground, and then he's asked the kit man's asked him, and he said Nobby, and he's given me the captain's armband, yeah. So then obviously went out, and then remember coming over. I remember Henrik Pedersen, don't know how he still got over today. His leg come up here somewhere, and he got the ball back over. And I remember just coming in the back post and just sort of half volleying into the back of the net and just standing there with wickets like that, like showing the armband, which was again a great moment. And a lot of people there in that stadium who knew me, who were very, very supportive of what had happened. And although I took points off Liverpool, which was again was a great moment early on.
Yeah, you spoke about Sam Allardyce and obviously the ambition that he had bringing in, your Joe KS, Koch's players like that. But we spoke to a few of your teammates as well in the recent weeks, and they said that he had a big emphasis on sports science. How beneficial was that to you guys?
Well, you could use it as much as you want or as little as you want, but the thing is, if you didn't buy into it and buy into what he'd done, in terms of you got left behind. Because we were well ahead of a lot of people. A lot of people go on about Arsene Wenger and what he done for Arsenal. I'm sure if Allardyce would have got a big job at the time in one of the big clubs, with what he was doing at Bolton, he would have took a top 3, 4, 5 club, and he would have got them and would have done what I think Arsene Wenger done to Arsenal, because we were well ahead of everybody in terms of what we were doing. The methods, the training methods, all that type of stuff, and physically, all the nutrition, all that type of stuff. He was second to none, because the thing is that at that time, I think Sam, a lot of managers want a control of everything and think they know the best of everything because you're the manager. Sam was one of the only ones who was very comfortable in their own skin. No, he's the manager, but he'd allow the top what he's seen as his top physio. He would have an opinion, and that's his opinion, and he'd take that. And if Sam didn't think it was right, although he'd question it and he'd want to know, but in all hands he'd go, "But you're okay. You're the physio. I take it from you. Fitness coach, same." So we had to buy into them people and that thought process, and because it's not just going, oh yeah, this is what I think. And Sam hadn't become the best fitness coach in the world all of a sudden, or the best fitness coach in the Prem, or whatever you want to look at it. But Sam's got to be bought in, and you've got to buy Sam to go, well, yeah, I'll believe in that. And then him to go, right, okay, and then bring it into football, and how can we bring it into football? What can we do? And that's what he was best at doing, to bring in all them little things. And having all this staff, and I remember that we had a large staff, but the staff were all there, and they all had their key bits to making sure his team was the best team they possibly can be for our team. And something which I admire about him, because obviously he was comfortable in his own skin. And although you know, it seemed at the time that he wouldn't be there, or he'd be in his office and everybody else would be running things. We all knew that it all come from him, you know, and we all knew that when we were talking to his staff, we were talking to him. It was never the fact that, we could then go and overrule the fitness coach and go, why is he doing this? The gaffer would be like, get out in the office. I know what he's doing. Go and do it. I'll be out in 10 minutes or something like that, and we'll have a discussion after. And I'll tell you why, but don't question my staff. And that's where I think his staff, you know, so loyal to him, and they were so good, and they were able to, and he was able to sort of go, you know, so far with them. And if you look at them, all the staff who are at Bolton now, you know, they've been picked and nitpicked from all the top clubs to go to them. And I think it's happened with all the staff he's picked, because you know, that's important, and it's something which he said to me when I was going into this side of it. He said, you know, it's always important to have the people around you who you trust and you know, but you know, are willing to tell you when you're wrong. He said it doesn't mean that you're wrong, but they've got to have an opinion. They can't just be all yes men and, you know, be happy with what you're saying. They've got to be able to challenge you, and because otherwise you'll go stale. It might work for a year, it might work for 6 months, it might work for 2 years. He said, but you'll go stale and you won't ever be able to move forward. And that's something what he wanted. He was always looking for the next, what will give us that next percentage, what will give us that next extra bit to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game. And he weren't afraid to you know, to listen to anybody in that, because I think for all the stuff he did bring, and maybe it was this much, I bet you this much was all, you know, how much he didn't, but he had to listen to these people to try and, you know, sort of sell him in that. And he was like, nah, I don't want any of that, but this, or I can see this working. And he made it work within his staff and within in his club.
The second, go on, Paul, sorry.
I was saying that some of the players he brought in, he like looking at Kevin Davis, you know, they'd, for all intents and purposes, the careers might have finished at other clubs. You know, like Kevin Davis is the prime example.
Kevin Davis was, when he come to us, I mean, he'll probably tell you himself, he was overweight, he was in such bad shape. I think he'd just come back away from Southampton, did just reach the FA Cup final. He'd had a huge summer. He wasn't the Kevin Davis what you'd see, you know, a year later or even more, but he worked his socks off, like Kevin Davis, and that's what we liked about him from day one. You know, he's not a big character around the dressing room. He's a big character on the pitch, and he'll give you it all, and you quickly realise that, you know, he trained and played the way he wanted. You know, he did. But, you know, he was quite a, you know, shy lad, quite private, quite quiet. But, you know, him, you know, when we first met him, great lad, and we knew, but and the gaffer, you know, got him fit. But one thing what the gaffer liked and what we all liked about him was that he was willing to go through, you know, the pain barrier to get, you know, that contract, to get playing for us, and then to be with us, and that's what we all admired about him. And I think that just grew from there. And then obviously the rest is history, as they say, for Kevin, because, you know, we went on to have a great career with Bolton.
But he did it with quite a few players as well, didn't he? I mean, like, you're as an example, Dufy as well. He probably fell by the wayside at Liverpool for quite a few reasons. Yeah. But he kind of...
The only number 9 not to score a goal was LS Dufy in Liverpool's history in the season. Right. So, that's, yeah, the only number 9 ever to not score a goal in a season for Liverpool is LS Dufy. So if you get that in the quiz, you know who it is. But yeah, I mean, Dufy, a great lad. When he comes to Liverpool, you know, lots of talk about him. But as you just said, quickly, you know, it can fall off, because he had all the attention, all the adulation, which obviously we all know Dufy loves anyway. But when he comes to Bolton, I think he found a place where, as I said, you know, not, and I hate it, but like, it's like the misfits, isn't it? You know, and we bring in someone, and, you know, we try and fix him, or if not fix him, but give him an environment where he can flourish. And I think Dufy did that. And he, you know, for me, I know he has a lot of spats with a lot of players, but for me, he was always great. You know, we had our spats ourselves. We had our, I'd like to, you know, put on record, he didn't ever spit at me. So, but yeah, we had our fair share of arguments, but we knew that as soon as we walked in, it was forgotten about, and I think he respected me for that, and I respected him for that. But you know, as I said, so, you know, the contribution he made to Bolton at the time was incredible, which was good for us. And he managed to do it with loads of players. You know, I remember Vincent Candela, Bruno Ngotti. You know, just Bruno Ngotti, who went on to have many years. Florent Reveal. You know, what a centre half he turned out to be. Mike Whitlow, Simon Charlton playing centre half.
Yeah.
You know, we would have thought that in the Premier League. You know, what's that all about? You know, these are things which he done, which no one else would have thought of. And Ricky Gardner, and you know, come to us from the Reggae Boys as one of the, you know, the best left wingers, ended up being one of the best left backs. Bolton's history, probably the best left back. If you know, I hope Jimenez doesn't see this, but in my eyes, it's obviously Ricky. So you know, it's one of them. You know, I think he always seen, and as I said before, he'd always be thinking outside the box because he was always looking to move forward and to get the best out of people. Then Rick Pedersen, another one, going from left winger or forward to being left back. You know, and not playing left back for the remainder of his career. You know, just things like that. You just think, wow. But it worked, and it was great, and it's because of him and his belief in the player that he could do that. Yeah, that's why it did work.
And I suppose while we're talking about Sam, you know, it must have been a shock when, you know, he finally left. He'd been at the club for such a long time, and it must have been. I suppose the players would have kind of half expected it because he was an ambitious guy. But again, I suppose when it happened, it must have just been a big blow to the lads.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking. I won't say it any other way. It was heartbreaking because we were on a journey and we weren't too far. You know, just that season, I think it was. We were in the top 4 for majority of the season. Could have easily broke into it, if, you know, given funds in January. And I think it just all started to break down with him and Phil, and fortunately, and maybe Ed. I'm not too sure because I didn't really get involved with it. But I just remember me and him went out for a drive, and he just explained to me that he was going to be leaving, and I was sort of trying to persuade him, you know, can't you see it out till the end of the season? You know, wouldn't it be better for that and to move on and stuff like that, than to, you know, sort of have them coming games where he had the Bolton fans behind him, the players all knew what was happening, and then it gives the new manager a bit of time in the summer to sort of take it from there. But you know, I think he was gone by then. I think too much stuff had been said and everything else, which was unfortunate. But like I said, I've never spoken to him about it. I don't really want to know about it because
it's history.
I think it was such a, you know, it's history. It's gone now, and I think it's just so sad that it comes to an end and the end like that. But I think the most important thing is that we remember them years for being how good we were and the way it was. It's just unfortunate that you know, I don't think he was given the send off he needed, or he should have had. And I think he'll probably well, he's a stubborn man, so he probably won't admit it, that he should have maybe stayed to the end of the season and took all that, and he'll say, I don't need that. But I think, you know, deep down, if he thinks about it, you know, really, that I think it would have been a nice gesture from us all, that to see him leave at the end of the season and give him the, you know, the thank you and the goodbye what he probably deserved, and then for us to move on and sort of look at what was going to be moving on, you know, in the future, which would have been perfect for us all. But it didn't, but we still managed to, you know, to cling on to that UEFA spot, and it was a tough time after that, and I think you know, it was made even tougher by the fact that, you know, Sammy then moved up, again, as I said, simply, you know, wanted to go in a different direction to what Sam had been taking it in, and it was going to take time, and unfortunately he wasn't given that. But that's just football and how it goes when you're not getting results.
Yeah. You spoke about Dufy there, Kev. Obviously a big character. People know that whether they've met him or not. Who else were the big characters at that time in the Bolton dressing room?
All big characters, you know. Myself, big character. Speedo, big character. Dufy, it was just flash, really. If Dufy come in with a own car or whatever, he had Nicky Hunt then. He was coming in Ferraris, you know. he was a big character, you know. But, you know, got the least there, but the most spikes in it. Like, I don't know how that ever happens, you know, Hunty. Who else did we have? JJ at the time. Ivan Campo, what a character he was. You know, Fernando Hierro, when he come, you know, the presence he brought to us all.
But Kevin, you were the captain amongst these players. I mean, how much that? A young lad, captain, World Cup winners, international legends. you know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, but that was it. You know, they respected me for who I was, and I think because they knew what they were getting from me, and I was honest. You know, and anything what got said on the training pitch was left on the training pitch, and if it needed to be talked about, I would have mind sitting man to man with them. But I used all them and all their experience to be the best captain I could be. So I'd never be. And I think again, I probably got it off Sam. I'd never be I'm the captain. Listen to what I say. It'd be like, Speedo, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? And JJ, you know, and we'd swap me mid-season if you like. I took the captaincy off JJ halfway through the season, but I'd still go to JJ for advice as a captain and what we should do, or you know, and have that committee, because you can't do it all. And captain's a big job of a football club. You know, you can never get away from it. And I speak to a lot of captains now who say they don't realise until you're actually the captain what it actually entails, because of, you know, the demands on it and what, you know, and when it's not going well, the captain takes it. The captain takes a lot of the stick, a lot of the slack off it. You know, he's the one who be sure to go for first. And you know, I think that happened to me, you know, at the club, and you know, at numerous times. And you've got to have big shoulders to be able to take it, because in the good times, they're the ones where the patting you on the back. And I think I was always able to do that. So yeah, although I had all these big characters, big players, big, you know, teammates, I treated them like teammates and mates, and I wanted the best. And if I thought that they could help me in any way, I'd always use them. And I wouldn't go off and just think I know it because I'm the captain and I wear the armband. Far from it. You know, I had people there who've been in the game a lot longer than me, done a lot more than me. So why not use that wealth of experience? And I must say, the 6 months what I had with Fernando Hierro was just invaluable with some of the things, and I took all the way through my career. Speedo obviously having him for years next to me, you know, and being a very good friend, and I was still, you know, very much in touch with him, you know, every couple of weeks, you know, which is very rare. Considering in this game I've only got a few friends really who I speak to, football friends if you like. You know, when we see everyone, all these memories come flooding back, and we have these great nights or great days. But there's very rare that you speak to all the players you play with. You know, you have the numbers, but you might just drop them a text every now and then. But Speedo was one of them. I knew, you know, from anything, if I wanted to just give him a quick call, I could do that. And it's such a sad case what's happened, and what happened to him, you know, it was such a tragedy. But again, you know, pressures and stuff like that. That's what happens. But yeah, for me, I was probably a good captain because I was able to, you know, lend an ear of any of them players at any time.
In your first sort of couple of seasons in the Premier League, you got a call up into the under-21s, the England under-21s team. How did you find that, and which players were in the group that you were with?
Yeah, I mean, we had Gareth Barry, Joe Cole. When I first went out there, Shola and we Peter Crouch. But I always found it dead bizarre because of David Platt, you know, for some reason, we didn't get on. Not that I'd known him or anything else, but, you know, I just didn't like his methods, didn't like the way he worked. We played David Prutton, who was only played a few games in the Championship, I think, at that time, and he played majority of the games for David Platt at under-21 level. Now, I know Prutz, I like Prutz. He's a good lad. But, you know, I was playing in the Premier League, scoring goals, and still couldn't get in the under-21 squad. So it quickly turned me quite bitter towards David Platt, and towards what he was trying to do and wanting to do, because I thought he had such a quality group of players at that level. We could have affected tournaments in a big style, Olympic time, but weren't able to do so because, in my eyes, he was probably picking more favourite. He was more favouritism towards players he knew than players he didn't. And I can't really remember David Platt watching me in all the Premier League games I played. Can't remember someone coming up to me at any point during them sessions or during my time with the 21s.
Do you think you'd have more 21 caps had it been a different coach? Or is it hard to say, I guess? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I definitely do. I think you know, I was definitely in the wrong time coming up in the 21s. But listen, we had fantastic midfielders. I'm not saying that I will, but I think I should have had more than one cap in the 21s. I think, you know, with what I was doing at that time in the Premier League, I think it deserved more than me picking up only one cap. Yeah. I was in a lot more squads, but he was putting at one point he put a left back on before me in centre midfield, which I thought was so disrespectful. That's when I lost him really, and he lost it with me. But listen, everyone has their own opinion, don't they? And certainly, I've got an opinion of him. I don't know what his opinion of me. He probably doesn't even remember me, but it's just that's just the way it is, and I suffered because of that, because I didn't want to go back to England. So when the calls came, and I think it was probably more of a we'll just take him because he's I don't want it to be where people are asking why I'm not, when he's playing every week in the Premier League and scoring goals. Why isn't he in your under 21 squads? I think it was more of a courtesy call up, if you like, just to keep them off his back than it was the actual, because I can never remember having a conversation with him in the few times I went up to there or even on the phone. And I know it's obviously common knowledge when you're going up to England, you normally get a phone call off the manager or a coach or whatever, or when you first turn up, you have a chat. But no, nothing from him, which I was very surprised by when I first went. But now when I look back, no, I'm not surprised.
Prior to your call up, though, you could have played for the Republic of Ireland, and there were a couple of other. I seem to remember like there was I don't know whether it was true or not, but you had some like Dutch ancestry or something.
Yeah, I've got them. Yeah, my great grandpa was Dutch. Yeah, so but it all changed because of the Cascarino thing, so I couldn't play because of all my grandmas. So it was all my great grandmas, all my great grandpas who were Dutch and Irish. Yeah. So it all changed because I had lots of. Brian Kerr was the manager of Ireland at the time, I think, and he called me a good few times about me going to Ireland and playing for them. And then when Steve Staunton was manager of Ireland, he was ringing me on numerous occasions asking me, and I just said, Steve, I don't think I qualify. And he was like, okay, let's look into it and stuff like that. And they tried the best, I must admit, and I was really happy to go because I think I was doing really well at my time in the Premier League, and it would have been another bone on the string on the bow, should say, to go and play international football.
You'd have probably won 50, 60 caps easily, wouldn't you, in that year?
Yeah. And then, what comes with that, you start doing well there, and then obviously the next level. So, yeah, I mean, look, I don't look back ever regretting anything, to be quite honest, I must admit. I don't really look back on my career because I feel quite privileged for the career I've had and for the clubs I've played for. But yeah, I think it. If I was able to play for Ireland, it would have been a nice opportunity anyway. So.
Do you think with the career you had, the goals you scored, obviously the majority of it in the Premier League, I know obviously your era was, in terms of English midfielders, you liked to Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, top quality, but do you feel like you were maybe unfortunate to not ever get a couple of caps under your belt, or is that something that you don't really think?
Yeah, without a shadow. When you look at the people who've got caps, I must admit, I sometimes, shrug my shoulders and think, really, and I don't want to name them because not mine, but for what I've done in the game, there's no way I should not have been able to be in some squads or be able to go there and sort of prove that I belong there, because I think I proved that I was a Premier League player for a long, long time. And although we had so many great players, is it something I regret? No, I don't worry about it. But when people talk about it, I think, well, I'm not really bothered about it, to be quite honest. I really enjoy my time, and we used to get some time off, so I used to be able to spend it with my family, go to Dubai, take kids away, do things, go away with my wife, do. So it was never ever a problem in that respect. But when I look back and you think of all the players who have had caps and had them opportunities, I feel very unfortunate that I didn't get an opportunity to show what I did on that stage, definitely. And I think, with what I'd done in the game, I was definitely deserved of a chance to go and show what I had. But that's life, and you just got to move on with it. And as I said, when it didn't come, it didn't bother me. Or when the call didn't come, it never ever bothered me. It wasn't something I was really worried about. I was more worried about making sure that I was in the team for the next weekend at my club.
Now, obviously, Bolton went on to qualify for Europe and reach those sort of dizzy heights. But there was a game where the club potentially could have dropped out of the Premier League, and that was the Middlesbrough game at the end of the 02-03 season. What memories have you got of that day? Because obviously that, for a club to come so close to dropping out of the top flight after such hard work and then sort of going on to get into Europe, I mean, a lot could have sort of hinged on that game, really.
Yeah, so that was the second season, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We were in.
Yeah.
I remember I was on the bench. I started on the bench for that game, I think. Mike Whitlow played in the back. We went 2-0 up. And we were quite cruising, really. And we weren't in no real bother. You know, we looked okay. Because that was the year we stayed up on the most. But when West Ham went down the most points, didn't he?
Yeah.
Lost that when at Birmingham. So we were quite comfortable. And I remember going on and we were all right. And but I remember, Michael Ricketts scored, didn't he? Yeah, his only goal for Middlesbrough. Yeah. Can you believe it?
You just knew it was going to happen, though, didn't you?
Yeah, and you know that sort of put the jitters up us. But I went on and I felt comfortable. I didn't think that for any 1 minute that Middlesbrough were going to score, and I thought that we played it out quite well for a team again. In a pressurized situation, a squad. We played it out well, and although it doesn't feel like it at the time, I think when you look back, we weren't really too much in bother. I think the fans, always add to that.
Yeah, the drama,
anxiety, and the drama. But I think we were quite relaxed on the pitch.
The following season, we managed to finish 8th in the league, and it was a season of, when you look at it from start to finish, there was kind of elements of joy and elements of disappointment in the sense that, we got to the League Cup final, all the way to the League Cup final, but lost the game. Finished 8th in the Premier League, beat Blackburn 4-3 in a local derby. What memories do you have of that season? Because there's a lot of big moments in that season, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, look, you've just named 2 of them there, and that 4-3 I remember scoring late on. Scored in the first couple of minutes and then scored really late on to win 4-3 in that derby, which was, again, that had become a real fierce rivalry between the 2 clubs at that time. Because we were 2 good teams going at it, and then obviously the League Cup was the biggest disappointment, because we should have won that. We should have won that with the team we had and everything else. But to go 2-0 down, I think that was the time where it might have got the better of us, the occasion. One of the times, and I remember, I won't name him, but I remember one of our centre halves just sort of being. As if, he was staying, he was really enjoying the occasion, like he was sort of there for a party, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all, and I told him just before the game, like, he's got to, like, sort of, I was only a young lad, obviously, and lo and behold, we were 2-0 down after, 11 minutes or something like that, I think it was, something like that.
Yeah, Zenden penalty.
Zenden scored a penalty, where he double kicked it.
Double
kicked it, yeah. Michael Riley, I told him, but he hasn't got a clue, has he? Mike Riley, he's now the PGMOL, and he's, that's what chance have we got? That's why we're probably at the worst referee at the minute, because keep saying it, I thought he was one of the worst, even at that time. He was a yes man, he was this, that, and it's still the same now. And to have someone who's important in that game, and him to miss such an important spot kick when it's going one way, it's his other foot goes the other way. I mean, who doesn't see that and know that? Yeah. But obviously Mike Riley doesn't, which is embarrassing. But upsetting. But again, when you look back on it, an 8th place finish again, champions, getting to a final, and you think, 3 years in, we're getting to finals now. We're getting, we're getting in the top 10 quite, comfortably. This is going to be it now. We're going to start, doing that again. But it just shows how hard it is. And when you get there, you've got to take your chance and opportunity, which obviously we weren't able to do so. So I think that lingered on for the rest of the season, really. We had a sort of, stop-start season after that sort of cup final defeat, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, one thing that you sort of can say about the team of your era is it's pretty crazy how often we used to get results against the top sides. It seemed pretty regular. What would you put that down to?
Just belief. We weren't scared of anybody coming to our place at all. We were at the Reebok. That was our fortress. We built it in that way. We wanted people to fear that they were coming to a place. People used to sometimes, and I'd say it now, they used to probably lose before they even got in the building, because they were thinking, I can't be bothered today because I've got Kevin Davis who's going to bat me, we've got Kevin Nolan who's going to run around and hit me, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to throw long balls in the box. They never give us any credit for the fact that we used to play them off the park for the full 90 minutes.
People
Yeah, you know, they forget that we had a JJ Kocher, Ivan Campo playing with us, and you know, and maybe a Stelios on one side, Drew from the other, yeah, and Kevin Day. It was crazy, you know, the sort of perception what was out there, but I think we showed that we were the top side, and we firmly believed in them years when we went from that 8th finish and when we got to the final. We believed that we belonged with all them. We believed that we were a squad going in the right direction, and we were going to continue to get better.
Did you ever did you feel like you got the respect that you deserve from like other teams and other players? Or
we get it now. We get it now. We definitely get it now more than we ever did when we were playing. And I think when we were playing, I think they all seen us, it's Bolton, blah, blah, blah. But now when they think, actually, we just were a real good side, and all the people who you speak about in football and everything else, and that, you know, we obviously working with David now and Alan Irvine, who were both at Everton at the time. They say, you know, how much respect they had for us then, you know, and how tough it was, because they were similar to us. They were building it. You know, David Moyes was doing the same at Everton, what Sam was doing at Bolton. If you like it, he'd moved to Everton when Sam had gone to Bolton, and you know, after that year. So, you know, Moyes moved on to Everton, didn't he? And then he started his rebuild of a club. So they know what he done, and they done similar with Everton, you know, which was great for them. But yeah, I think at that time, I think people had to respect us in the end, because we were top 5 finishes, top 6 finishes, top 7, top 8. You know, we were a good team. Not many teams could beat us, and if they did, they'd have to work for it really hard.
Yeah, I remember, like, for instance, like the Spurs, we did the double over them 3 consecutive seasons. I mean, it was just unheard of.
Yeah. I remember we used to, you know, score a couple of goals going there at home and stuff like that, and we were at Spurs, as you said, at Tottenham Hotspur, who had good players, good teams at the time, and you know, were always expected to be there in the European places. We weren't worried about going to White Hart Lane. We had players who, you know, wanted to play there and wanted to be on that level, and we shown that, and I think that was a big thing.
Yeah. Another team as well, Arsenal. I know Arsene Wenger liked to have a bit of a moan about Bolton, and obviously Arsenal were a top, you know, they were challenging for the Premier League title at that time, and they never ever liked playing Bolton, did they?
Yeah, and again, I don't understand why Arsenal was like that, because he had a real tough team, you know what I mean? When Vieira and Henry and all them and Bergkamp, and we were playing against all them boys, they wouldn't come to Reebok and just keel over. They'd be having a, you know, real good go, and they'd all be up for it. He changed that sort of squad from being, you know, that fight, who'd be able to fight with you, and that's where I think they lost out, Arsenal, because they lost that sort of sense of when they go to a Bolton or they go to a Burnley on a Tuesday night or whatever, they'd have a real worry that he couldn't handle it, you know. And I think, you know, I was only watching the other day when they were 4-0 up against us when I moved to Newcastle, and at St James's at half time, 4-0 up, and we got back to 4-4. You know, that would never have happened. That would never have happened years before. Never, because once Thierry Henry, Bergkamp and everybody else and Adams and all them you're playing against and all them lads who were just like, you know, and they could mix it. Once they would have been 4-0 up, they would have been 5, 6, 7. They would have been ruthless, but it was the change of, and I think that's what Arsene Wenger could never get over. You know, he was saying it's not the way to play football, but I think he forgets how he won titles. Sometimes when he talked about us, I think he forgot how he won titles, because there was sometimes when I used to watch them and they were known for being the 1-0, you know, before he got there, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Yeah. So you've got to be able to play it, you know, in different ways if you're going to be successful, and that's one thing we were able to do. But you know, when Arsenal are spending millions and millions of pounds and we're getting free transfers and people here and there, you know, you've got to do everything you can to try and win. And that's what we did. You know, we have to have a game plan to try and beat Arsenal. We can't just go out and just sort of do what they do, because they're spending millions and millions of pounds on their players in every position. We can't do that. So you've got to find a way, and that's what we did, and that's what Bolton did. We found a way to make sure that we always, you know, we're in the game and then give people a go. And had a go, people, I should say.
Now, the 2004-5 season, it was probably the best, well, I'd say undoubtedly the best season in Bolton's recent history. Qualified for the UEFA Cup, finished 6th in the Premier League. How good was that to be a part of? Having heard, you know, Sam Allardyce's plans years before, how good was that season to be a part of?
Yeah, I mean, tremendous. You know, it was special. You know, and I think not only that, you know, we were well deserved it. We were great all season long. We were solid. You know, we beat some cup teams along the way. And you know, it was just the next step and the next level. And it was just like, it's come early, but we're ready to go. And we always thought that as a club, we were there or thereabouts. And it was, there was some good times that during that season, especially at the end of the season when we were celebrating, you know, a top six, top six, fifth did we finish?
Yeah, I think.
Fifth,
6 or 4 or 5, yeah.
I think. 6 and 4 or 5. Yeah, so I mean, top 6 and, you know, to little old Bolton, top 6, it's incredible to think. And that's what, you know, we were known as, little old Bolton, but, you know, punching it with the big boys.
Now, your first goal that season was in a 2-2 draw against none other than Man United. You had quite the knack of scoring against them. You must always enjoy scoring against Man United as a Liverpool lad. There's sort of that old rivalry there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, again, that was our own winner against Les Ferdinand scored later, and then they went and scored. And that's when I realised what winners are really about. I obviously went 1-0, I'd scored, and I remember the day before we were doing set pieces on the pitch actually, and Julio Cesar, who was playing for us at the time, I went off for an header with him because the ball got crossed in, and the gaffer always used to say to them, not to bother, just to sort of be a defender, but not to bother trying to head the ball. And I remember Julio obviously not speaking great. Well, what shall we call the gaffer? Boltonian, or shall we call him? Where is he from? He's from
Dudley, came to Bolton. Boltonian.
So he'd obviously said, "Don't we?" And the next minute I've come in, headed the ball off a corner to score. But at the time, Julius Cesar's coming up and he's caught me just above my eye, and my eye literally split from here all the way around to here. It was horrific, blood just pouring out. And you can imagine, like, I've heard Julio in his big, like, accent. You stupid, you know, beep, 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 beep. I told you not to hit the wall. And it was just like, I'm like on the like dazed on the floor, thinking, like, now I would never have got away with playing for the next day, because it was like, you're all right, and I'm like, where am I? You know, one of them, with all the concussion protocols. But I remember going in, and it was one of them. Right, we've got a video, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get. No, come and get your video. Come and watch the video first. So I've sat in the video, and they've like cleaned me all up, obviously thinking it. And as I've looked in the mirror, my eye's just still open here. And all they've done is just put a little thing on it here, just to keep it together, and just said, I'll just keep your eye on it like that. So I was just sitting in the video, watching the Man United video, the last bit of it, with this big thing on me, like that, you know. But again, because he told me to go and watch the video, I did. And then the next day, we all have come in, and I remember, I think it was JJ who shot, and as he has, I've sort of turned it, and Tim Flowers has made a good save, actually. He's just popped up, and I've just gone like that, and headed it. And I remember thinking as I'm running away, that's it, that has hit me eye. Because I had a big bruise. I don't know if you've seen it, but I've got a big bruise on my eye, and I just nodded it in. And it was only a little nut, but I just thought, that hit, that's what's running away. But it was great, obviously a great feeling. I was never going to take it away. But that's what sticks out in that game.
A young Cristiano Ronaldo came on in that game.
Cristiano Ronaldo was there, and I remember we went 2-1 up in the 96th, 97th minute or something. And I remember looking at all them, and we'd celebrated, everyone was celebrating, like, we've won the game, it's over. And I remember, I don't know if it was Roy Keane, he ran back with the ball and put the ball back on the thing to say, we've got time here. Like, we have got time to get a goal back. And I'm thinking, and now when I look back, I'm thinking, what a madman. But now I look back, I just think that's why they were the best. Because no matter what, in the 96th minute, they just lost the goal at Bolton, and everyone's going mad. We're trying to get everything sorted, because they're higher of everybody. Switched off, as it's all switched off, it then happens that it goes from there. What happens? They go down the other end and score a goal, and you think, Jesus Christ, are we for real? Have we just done that? And I remember the gaffer going absolutely ballistic at the end of the game, because we'd just thrown away 2 points, which again was massive for us at the time. And where the gaffer thought we belonged, we should be winning them games once we're in them positions. And it doesn't matter if it's Man United who are champions elect, got all these players. Doesn't matter. That's what we've done. We've earned to get 2-1. How can you throw it away and get to 2-2 at that time? So, poor from us. But just showed why they were the best. And that's what the difference, I thought, always the thought against Man United and what it was in the end against Arsenal. That was the difference. I think if we would have scored that goal against Arsenal, it would have been 2-1 and we would have finished and would have done it. Whereas Man United, I just thought that they had that other edge.
Yeah, obviously, I mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo. You talk about Man United and how good they were at that time. Who would you say is the best player that you played against?
Paul Scholes probably, and Steven Gerrard. I don't think I think for different reasons. Paul Scholes because of the way he adapted his game, and then Steven Gerrard just because he's Steven Gerrard. He literally pulled Liverpool for a number of years into heights where he shouldn't have been really, but for him, he had some good players at the time, but if it weren't for him, he wouldn't have never have had the successful seasons after seasons what he did. Paul Scholes, he was just one of the best. Couldn't get near him, could do everything. And look, I'm leaving out the likes of Vieira here, by the way, Roy Keane, Frank Lampard, you know what I mean? It's Thierry Henry, and you could go on Alan Shearer.
Midfielders though, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course. And English midfielders, David Beckham, Ronaldo, Rooney, all these players who have all gone on to do, be the best Premier League players or be the best goal scorers at Man United, at England, all them type of players you're leaving out because of these players. Just top players. And again, I was mixing with it, week in, week out, on a yearly basis, which is great, year on, year out.
Was there a point during that 2004-05 season where, as a group, you sort of half realised that you had a chance of qualification for Europe? Or did you never really think about it?
No, we obviously we were known as obviously say little old Bolton, so we played on that fact and it was we're not really going for it. But within house, the gaffer was desperate for it. We were desperate for it. We were making everyone believe it. But if you walked out of our training ground and we were talking to any of the media or any of you guys, we'd be like, look, we're just little old Bolton. We're just we're doing too well. I'm just trying to play everything down. But we had an energy within which was, look, we believe, and we had a belief within that we should be there, which was great. And I think that mentality shifted. As soon as we got there, the mentality shifted, and it was like, yeah, we belong here. And I think if you look at a lot of the lads, they go, yeah, we deserve to be here, and they don't play it down no more. It's like we're top players, we're top players, and we've got to keep moving on with this.
Yeah, the last game of that season was, of course, the Everton game at the Reebok, which was the last game of Fernando Hierro's career.
Fernando Hierro, yeah.
You spoke about Fernando Hierro and the amount you learnt off him. Out of all the players you played with at Bolton, who would you say you had the best relationship with?
Probably Gary Speed. Gary Speed, Nicky Hunt. I still speak with Juicy as well. But Gary Speed probably won't stick out in my mind. Who we had a really close bond and close connection. And obviously devastated with what's gone on since. Yeah. But I must admit, I love my time at Bolton, and I made some I met some great people, and people I still speak to this day. Obviously one's on the call with Paul. We still speak now because we remember them days like they were yesterday. But we grew up together, and we grew up with that, which was fantastic for us. So yeah, but yeah, I'd say probably Speedo and then Hunty and Joey O'Brien we would still speak to. But they were lads who were Speedo probably took me under his wing, if you like, and they were the lads who I probably took under my wing.
Yeah.
Which is nice because we've still got a close bond and a close connection with them too. I have.
Of course, Europe came after that, the UEFA Cup, a totally new experience for the football club. How did you find it? How did you find being involved in those European nights?
Loved it. Different experience, obviously, because you're playing Thursday night, all that type of stuff, and we were trying to find a way. I think that first season it was tough because we were trying to find a balance between that and the Premier League, because the Premier League was obviously the priority with all the money what was getting thrown in and what we did, but we were trying to juggle with the Europa. But yeah, I loved every minute of it, and obviously the goal against Plovdiv when I come on, it was it's a fantastic. I think I've got the thing where I'm running away with me two hands like that, and in the blue kit. I still remember like it was yesterday. I remember my dad being absolutely bladdered and seeing him because he'd been, I put him on like the Thursday to the Wednesday to the Friday trip, was it? That trip, was it? Paul, what he was running on, he put him on that, with all the directors, and he was with all the directors, with Phil Gartide and everybody else, but he had the normal ticket. He'd have all the corporate ticket, but then he'd probably go and see all the lads who were all the Boltonians at the time, all their fans, and he ended up with them all day. It was just, it was carnage. And when I seen him, I was like, oh my God, that's my dad. He's absolutely, but he was enjoying the ride and really enjoying it. So, I couldn't knock him or mock him for it, because he was enjoying seeing his son do fantastic things for which he'd never ever envisaged. So, I can remember, because I was sub at the time, so at half time we'd gone out to warm up. Next minute I'm here and everyone shout, Kevin. Thinking, well, no one calls me Kevin. Like, it's normally Nolan. And they're like, Kevin, yeah, Dad. And my dad like standing there and he's trying to act sober, and I've gone and walked over, and I went, oh my God. And you could literally smell alcohol on him. He was laughing his head off. Obviously, just delighted to be there on a European tour. That's all he was singing. We're going on the Europe. It was just, And then obviously I scored, so I knew exactly where he was. So that's where you see me when they've actually got that. When I'm running away, I'm running towards him, and all the fans who were there with him. So it was good.
And the away support as well, because the Bolton fans, to be fair, travelled in numbers, so far afield for these European.
Well, we were 28. I mean, again, you think about it, we were 28,000 a week at the Bolton, the stadium, no matter what, and they were there in thousands, week in, week out, and it's when you think about it, it's just crazy. When you look back at it and you think, at the time, you don't really get it because you're in amongst it. But when you look back at it and you think, wow, and you see how it is now, then you think, wow, that was truly unbelievable, But yeah, I mean, they do a great them nights, the Europeans, and seeing the fans and them having the 4 or 5 days away, and you can, they always still speak to me now whenever I see them. I was there that night. I was there, and because it was Bulgaria we played. Prodder's winner.
Yeah, I
was there that night. We had a week. We were there for 2 weeks. They were going away and enjoying their holidays, but just having, them getting the game in between. And it was Madrid. You know what I mean? Sporting Lisbon. It wasn't Lisbon. Oh, it was Lisbon we played, wasn't it? That was the second time. Yeah, that was the second time. Yeah, because we didn't go to that one. It was the other Portugal team, the one Vaz scored.
Victoria Guimarães.
Victoria Guimarães, that's it, yeah. I remember that one as well. So, yeah, fantastic. Look, great memories. Zenit St. Petersburg at the Reebok. Who would have thought
that one as well.
That was torrential rain, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Torrential rain,
yeah. The league game, it'd have been postponed. But,
yeah, exactly. But they had to play it. And then because what we used to do is we used to bring the pitch in for the Premier League, but European laws. So we had to colour them blue. And by the end of it, we didn't know which was one. So it was like, we had a pitch within a pitch. But yeah, I scored in that game to win 1-0, which was another good one.
Yeah, and then qualification for Europe again shortly after that. But by that time, we had Nicholas Anelka leading the line. How good was he, Kev?
Yeah, special, mate. Very special. Top player. Deserved to go to Chelsea, win titles. You could see why Arsenal, why he'd been playing Real Madrid. Just a nice lad too. Everyone called him the Sulk, but couldn't be far away from the truth. Mm-hmm. Just had that sort of face, didn't he, where he'd always look like he was just not like he weren't happy with anything. But yeah, great lad. And I think he loved his time at Bolton because he was part of a family and part of something. And I think even when he talks, you hear him talk now in interviews or whatever, and he go back, he says, he really enjoyed that time. And what a coup by Sam bringing him. I think he got him for 8.5 million, didn't he, or something like that? Brought him back from Turkey, was it?
Yeah.
Which we couldn't believe he was going to get him, and I don't think he could. But yeah, what a signing, and yeah, special goal, special talent, and you could just see he had that, that next level in him, which was very special.
Then the next UEFA Cup campaign, 07-08, I think we reached the last 16, didn't we? But then we got knocked out by Sporting Lisbon. Was it a weaker team we fielded for those games? Is that right?
Yeah, well, we'd obviously had the tough time going into. Sam had left at the end of the season, hadn't he? And we had the last 8 games, was it, Paul? Was it? I think something like that.
Yeah,
I think without him.
Yeah.
And we sort of stumbled over the line, if you like. It sort of derailed everything what was going on at the time. And then we got there anyway. Then we took on that, but then we had a real slow start. I think after about 11 games or 8 games, we had 11 points, or it might have been 11 games, 8 points. I think we were really, in trouble. Yeah. And obviously we lost Sammy then. And we got Gary Megson in, which obviously wasn't a fan favourite, and it was like, where do we go? And I sort of acted like Gary's assistant, if you like, because he didn't bring no one in with him at the time, and it was like sort of his bounce board on how we should go about the season, what we should do, and everything else. And I think his first priority was, we've got to stay in the Premier League. We need to stay in the Premier League for the monies, all that type of stuff, and that's why it ended up being the way it was. I think we had a real good crack at it in Europe that year as well, if we were able to go. And I think if we would have been in the position we was the year previous, I think we would have been able to have a real good run at that, but because of circumstances we wasn't, because we went out to Sporting Lisbon and he left about 5 of us back because we had Wigan on the Saturday, who obviously was one of our main rivals. But lo and behold, what did? We go to Wigan and we absolutely stink the place out and lose. So we got a double whammy then. So then it was a double on Gary. But in hindsight, it was probably the best thing to do. But then when you look at it, when you've lost on the Saturday, you're thinking, well, why didn't we just go on the Thursday? Or the Sunday, sorry. Why didn't we just go on the Thursday? So, he got a double whammy there. So I don't think, there was a big no-no next to his name because of that. But they're decisions you've got to make as manager. And, if I was looking back at it now, I don't think and if he was looking back at it, I don't think he probably changed his mind. I think he thought he'd done the right thing by keeping, the majority of the core squad back to make sure that we were ready for Sunday with, the addition of bringing a few lads here and there. But then if you go to Sport and you win, you're elated, you get that sort of momentum. You go to Wigan, then you're on a different grave. So there's different ways to look at it now. And I think if it was me then, I think he was doing the right thing. But if it was me now, I'd be thinking, no, let's get to Sport and let's get into the next round. Let's use his momentum and let's get it going. But hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there were some amazing nights that UEFA Cup campaign. I mean, I've got them wrote down here. Obviously, there's a Bayern game. There's going to Red Star Belgrade. I don't think there's been an English team since beat Belgrade in their own backyard. There's obviously beating Atletico Madrid, who had the likes of Aguero, players like that. There's some big nights in that tournament.
Yeah, you got Forlan.
Yeah,
Aguero.
Exactly.
Yeah, Maxi. They had some good players, mate. And then, Belgrade, obviously, we done them. Bayern, coming from 2-0 down. I remember flicking a few balls over Lucio's head, was it? Taking it in, and then Kevin Davis put it in the back of the net, and he gets all the credit for it. I like to think of the assist. Have a look at the assist, I say. Have a look at the assist. That's what made it. Come from the right-hand side, flicked it over a few people's head and laid them in. And then he run away and didn't even celebrate with me, which is even worse.
It was almost... it was like things were going so well in Europe that year, but then domestically we only just managed to stay up. Was it a difficult season overall, would you say? Or how would you...
No, it was, of course, but it was because of the start you've made. The start we made, we were always playing catch up. And I think the Europa League we've seen as a sort of release from the Premier League. And because we'd had that sort of, we've been in a couple of times now, we were now thinking, right, we belong here. We knew how to, to play a European night. We knew how to do it. But we were just finding it tough getting, the results in the Premier League because we were needing to win to catch up. Because we were playing catch up because we were bottom of the league for after was it 10, 11 games, was it, Paul? I think it was, mate. I think it was 11 games with 8 points. So you're talking you've got 8 points out of 33. It's not good enough, and I don't think there'll be many teams who could get themselves back up and step up after that. So what Gary done in terms of getting us and keeping us up was a fantastic achievement in the end. But obviously we had to make sacrifices along the way.
Now, before we touch on your departure from the club in 2009, I'm just going to ask you a couple of quick fire questions. So hopefully it won't be too much. I mean, you played 345 games, so you might need to rack your brains a little bit. But what's your favourite game that you played in at Bolton?
At Bolton?
Yeah.
It was probably the first game in the Premier League. Obviously scoring 2, being a Premier League, Leicester. Yeah, I think if I'm looking back, it was such a fantastic moment. And then obviously scoring the first goal in Europe, the winning goal to make sure that we were going through. So they're probably 2 which stick out in my mind right away. But you can never forget your debuts and things like that. Away to Gillingham, my full debut away to Gillingham. 2-0 up when I went off after 60 odd minutes and we do 2-2. I was absolutely spewing. But I was like, it was one of them again. You're young. Oh, it was because I come off. You're thinking in your head,
What about your favourite goal for Bolton?
There's
a few. I mean, there's a long list.
Well, I think the Blackburn one's probably the best technical one if you look at it from one side of the box to the other. It's totally, which. But that was probably, we lost that game, I think, after they scored that one. We lost it 2-1, I think, which was disappointing. I think there was one against Portsmouth, the overhead kick was a decent one. Tottenham at home. Then you've got the Man United one, of course, away. So, no, you know what? There's one goal which always sticks out in my mind, which I think was such a prove what we were about, and that was when we first got promoted against Leicester and we went down to 9 men after like 10-15 minutes, and then we went 2-0 down and I scored the goal just before half time, and that one always sticks in my mind, just before Ricketts scores in the last final few minutes to make it 2-2. And I think it was the day, because Sam had the arm monitor on, it was going, it was spiking and everything else, and it was such a dramatic day, and I think that sticks in my mind. It was one of the games as well what I played in, which was such a special one. So I don't think I can nail it down, but I think for technique and everything else and the way the way it was, it's got to be the Blackburn goal what I scored is probably the best one, I think.
And just lastly, I mean, this might be the most difficult one of them all, looking at the players you played with at Bolton. But who's the best player you'd say you played with? And that, I imagine that is a difficult one to answer.
Yeah, of course. Listen, and I'll probably upset a load of the pros there, but I think if I'm going to say anything, I think the best person for me and team play for me whenever I was there was Gary Speed. And I think, no one could really argue with that, but I think the best individual who I thought was a top player was got to be Nico. And that's only if I would have been able to play with Fernando Hierro probably for a bit longer, he probably would have picked Nico, but Nico was, you could see why he was, we went for 16 million again. I think even in this, no matter what generation he is in, he will always score goals because of the way he is.
Absolutely. So, of course, 345 appearances for Bolton. You spent over a decade with the club, and then the time came for you to move to Newcastle United in 2009. I mean, a great opportunity at a massive, massive club, Newcastle United, but was it mixed emotions upon leaving the club?
Without a shadow of a doubt. I couldn't believe that they wanted to sell me. That was the biggest thing. That's why I went. That was the biggest disappointment, that they had accepted the bid. So that's why I went. I wasn't never going to just kick my ears and say I'm staying. And I didn't want nothing. I was disappointed in Gary. I was disappointed in Chris Evans, who was his assistant at this time, because they didn't have they didn't ring me, which I thought was, they left it to my agents just to walk in. We just played Blackburn the night before. And my agent sort of come in and told me that he'd had a conversation with the management staff, and it said, Kevin needs to go, and he found me obviously Newcastle, and the rest, like they say, is history. And once he told me that they'd accepted the bid, I just said, let's do it. Didn't even ring my mum, didn't ring my dad, didn't ring my missus. Didn't, it was just, we're doing it. Because once a manager at a club says that they're happy for you to go, then I don't think there's much more you can do. I think, as much as I love being there, love Bolton Wanderers, and I always thought I'd be there for my career. There was never ever one. I had lots of opportunities. I think to, Spurs have put bids in the past. I think what I'm led to believe, and people have inquired, but they've always told no. But as soon as someone says yeah, you're going, I don't care who you are. I think if you dig your heels in and if I would have stayed, I think, you know, it might have become toxic, and I didn't want to ever do that. The only regret is that I wasn't able to go say goodbye to the fans and stuff like that, which was disappointing. But
it was such a ball from the blue as well. There was just no speculation. There was no inkling. It was just. I remember, like, me as a fan. And,
yeah, well, we played Blackburn Rovers the night before.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember, but we played Blackburn Rovers and we 1-0 up and we lost a goal late on, like last minute, and I'd gone in and absolutely gone mental. And I think that's where it all stemmed for. I think obviously emotions then. My agent was around and because he watched the game, and the management team was with me agents and stuff like that, and they spoke. Well, he was someone who was not my agent, but he was known as my friend who was my agent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, I've heard that this and blah blah blah. What do you think?" And I was like, "No, not really." And they were like, "Well, they've accepted the offer." And I was like, "All right, okay. Well, that changes things. Then we're going, aren't we?" So, and I think that was my attitude. You know, if you're not wanted, why stay? You know what I mean? I'd only be, and I think it was more like, well, I'll show you. And I know that Gary come in for me once we were relegated at Newcastle. I know Gary asked if I'd come back on loan after I'd been relegated with Newcastle, if I'd come back to Bolton on loan, because he said that he'd made a mistake by letting me go. And I'd spoken to him afterwards, once it had all calmed down and everything else, and he'd said, I shouldn't have let you go. Which I thought was big enough, and that's why I respect Gary Megson. I always respected him. I like him. I like him as a man and as a person, because he's one of them. If he thinks he's got it right, he sticks by his guns, and then if he thinks he's got it wrong, he's willing to tell you, and he'll hold his hands up. So fair play to him. And as I said, he wanted me to go back, but I think I had unfinished business at Newcastle then, and I wanted to prove to Newcastle that I can go on, and I wanted to prove to everyone else too, because they thought I was just Bolton, and it was just, Kevin Nolan, he'll never do it at Newcastle, but he done at Bolton. And I thought, right, well, this is my time now to go and show that I can do it at another club, and that's what
you did really at St James's Park. I mean, he scored a hat trick against Sunderland. I mean, I bet the Newcastle fans will love you forevermore for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, they still go on a lot about that, and I enjoy it. It's great. It was a fantastic day. And I had some fantastic. I scored 2 hat-tricks up there. One on Bobby Moore, Jesus, selling back at West Ham. One on Bobby Robson's memorial when we played against Newcastle. It was a big day. It was all about Bobby, and I scored an hat-trick that day, which was nice. You know what I mean? Which I'll never forget. And obviously the Sunderland derby, when I scored an hat-trick, and it hadn't been done for 24 years. The last person to do it was Peter Beardsley. He was he was in the stand watching it, so that was even better, because the last person to do it was there watching, and he sent me a lovely text that night, because how much it means to people who are Newcastle fans and Geordies. So yeah, some special times up there as well, which you'll fondly remembered. And now on to the next stage of the career, really, and enjoying this side of it. The other side, and as the players would call it, the dark side.
Yeah, I mean, it's testament that, because you're just football mad, weren't you, growing up and as a player, and it's just the next extension, is it? Once you've finished playing, it's management, coaching, and
and I always envisaged. I always knew that I wanted to become a manager, wanted to be a coach, wanted to be involved in football throughout my life. And I've never been a massive golfer, so it was never that I was going to go enjoy and just retire and enjoy golf every day. I wanted to be a part of the day to day. So I think the biggest thing for me now is, I'm really learning and doing really, lots and learning every day with being with David and Alan Irvine and Paul Nevin, who have all been coaches for, the best on 20 years plus, each one of them. So the experience what I'm gaining day in, day out is absolutely incredible. But I do see myself, and I do want to be a manager. I want to go back into management, but, when that time comes, it's got to be right. At this moment in time, I'm really, really loving this part of it, because I've got plenty of time ahead to do all that type of stuff. So it's about me, serving my apprenticeship again, doing all that and getting better at it and being the best person I can be being the best Kevin Nolan as a manager or as a coach, whatever opportunities I get going forward. But this was an absolutely fantastic opportunity for me going forward with David, till the end of the season. Obviously, with what's happened, it's been crazy, with this pandemic, but it's been extended till the end of the season, and then we'll just see where it goes from then. I'm sure me and Dave will sit down and either shake hands and say thanks very much. Say thanks very much, and you've been a great help, or thanks very much, I'd like you to continue. So I'm hoping it's going to be the latter rather than the other one, but just loving being back in football and being back amongst it again.
Yeah, that's. I was just going to say that, Kev. Obviously, it must help going to a club in West Ham that you've obviously had such a successful time as a player, and obviously a large part of that under Sam Allardyce as well. There were some good years at West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's exactly the same as Bolton and as at Newcastle. So whenever I go back to them clubs, it's all the same people behind the scenes. It's all the same people who are still working, and there's just been a few tweaks and changes here and there. But the majority of the staff is still there, and you're trying to make sure that you can move forward, and they understand what it means to have the core of the club and the right. And I think it's just been so nice going to West Ham because everyone's back, and even Mark Noble still calls me Skip. So it's crazy. And then, you go back to Newcastle. When I went back there and I've done a few commentary games there, you have all the women from behind who do all the catering and all that, and the people on the desks, and they're all coming up. Oh, it's great to see you, big hugs and all the people. And then when I went to Bolton, I think it was early on last season maybe, I went to one of the games, and the amount of people, all familiar faces, and just great to go round, and it just sort of brought all them emotions running back, because as I said, I never ever got to see that really. I never done that around the pitch, and for me it was such a great time and a great day, but it was such a sad time because they were at a low point in losing the game to Norwich in such a bad way. But the fans, and just seeing everything sort of empty. I wasn't used to seeing that, which was, massive shock to me. But again, that's what happened. You know what I mean? And hopefully now this with what's happened in the last couple of days, then that Bolton now can sort of reset and start looking upwards and looking to sort of start getting back to where I feel they belong, and that's amongst the big boys in the top leagues. But it's going to be a long road, and put a few bumps along it, but I'll be backing them as and supporting them along the way, definitely.
Yeah, just to sort of wrap it up, Kev. I mean, we spoke at length, particularly about your time at Bolton. There's been a hell of a lot to talk about, but if you could just sort of finish off with, a message to the supporters, anything that you want to say to them at this minute in time, then just do so. Yeah,
it's been a tough time for us all over the last couple of months, but I know there's one thing what the supporters of Bolton will be right behind the club and behind the team. And I think that's the most important now. Now, obviously, relegation's been confirmed. It's about now starting to build, and without you guys, it's not going to. It'll only go in without you guys, it's going to be tough. So it's important that you stick to what I know you're about, and that's sticking to your club and sticking to your beloved club and getting behind them and helping them through this tough time, and making sure that you all stick together, because it's a much better and it's a much shall we say not nastier club when if you like, but it's much tougher when you come to the Reebok and you're behind that team and moving forward. And I think that's the most important going forward, is that everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet and you're going in one direction. It's going to be tough. You're going to have lots of bumps, and it's going to be but hopefully it's going to be one good ride, and that's going back to where I feel that we belong, and that's amongst the big boys in the top division. So just want to say, all stay safe, everyone. Make sure you're doing the right things, and make sure when we get out of this that you get behind the boys and behind the team, behind the club, because they need you more now than they ever have. And I'll certainly be one of you right behind Bolton and hoping that they get there.
Brilliant, Kev. Well, it's been fantastic to speak to you. Really has.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure.
Thanks, boys.